Morning, everyone. Warren Fiscal Court. Thursday, February 27th, 2025 is now called to order. And we're pleased to have a good friend of this community, Pastor Terry Daniels from Transformation Christian Center, is with us today to offer an invocation, and followed by that will be our pledge to the flag by Magistrate Scott Lashley.
Would you bow with us? Eternal God, our Father, we bow with you this morning. Thank you so much for just being an amazing God in all of our lives. We come this morning asking thee that you would give us guidance and wisdom in all the things that we do. We pray, God, for this court. We pray for this county. Thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you've given to us. Pray for everyone that's in leadership, that's in decision making, knowing that all of these decisions are not easy. But God, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance, that we would do things that honor you, that honor each other. Thank you, Lord, for the citizens of our community, God. We pray that each of us will be blessed by all things that are done. We pray, God, let you just watch over each person in this room, the activities that take place this day. God, that when it's all said and done, that you will get all the honor, all the glory, and all the praise. So in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please stand and face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Here.
Esquire Aldridge.
Here.
Esquire Lashley.
Here.
Esquire Cummings.
Here.
Esquire Williams.
Here.
The first item is approve the minutes of the fiscal court meeting on February 13th, 2025. Motion by Squire Lashley, second by Squire Lawrence. Any corrections? If not, please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter. Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lashley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Next item is approve the personnel changes for Warren County. Motion by Squire Lashley, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lashley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Item 6, approve the work schedule for the Warren County Road Department. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lashley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
And before we get into item 7, we've got a presentation to make. And what I'd like to say is each of us have run for office to make tough decisions, and today is no different than other ones. But I want to go over something before we get started about a timeline that this court has worked diligently on for coming up on 3 years. And as it relates to fire protection for our county. I appreciate each of you in your position as elected official, and you've all been methodical and cautious in the research in this extremely complex issue. On one hand, we have an extremely committed, albeit extremely small in numbers, group of individuals who are serving the entire 540 some square miles of our county, providing fire and emergency protection to our almost 70,000 county residents on a strictly volunteer basis. And on the other hand, you have a system that was formed in 1972, however, has not, for a variety of factors, been able to keep up with the growth, and in fact has put the men and women of our departments, as well as the homeowners and property owners, at considerable risk for a total loss of property or worse, loss of life. So I want to share with everyone before we get started what has happened in the past almost 3 years. The Warren County Fire Chiefs Association hosted a candidate forum March 31st, 2022, when each and every person of this court, plus many others, were running for office in order to gauge support for the incoming fiscal court. At that time, there were 23 announced candidates seeking office as magistrate and 4 candidates seeking office of judge executive. Each candidate addressed and identified two key issues: a funding imbalance along with a lack of long-term plan for fire protection for Warren County. In April of 23, after I got in office, formed an RFP committee to hire an outside consultant to analyze all aspects of the volunteer fire departments. Fiscal Court accepted a bid of $48,300 submitted by Mission CIT for the RFP that was advertised on October 26th of 2023. Mission CIT spent the next 7 months preparing a study document. The study document, which is 182 pages, many of you are familiar with and have seen, and it is now currently on our website. Please go to that if you would like to read through that. It's written to be a comprehensive review of the volunteer fire service and its needs. Mission CIT made their presentation to Warren Fiscal Court on May 23rd, 2024, almost a year ago. The Fiscal Court approved funding the position of fire coordinator. That was the very first recommendation, and Bill Rector is here today because of that. In July of 2024, Judge Gorman formed a fire coordinator hiring committee, and after 5 months of nationwide interviews, the fire coordinator hiring committee put forth a recommendation in November of 2024, and we approved the hiring of Bill Rector. Over this entire time period, countless meetings were held with the volunteer fire chiefs on the direction of support and funding they needed, but most importantly, to assess the needs and the future of Warren County as a whole. Today, for your consideration, we have our fire coordinator, Bill Rector. He's going to make a presentation detailing these complex issues, and there's a few other people that will also speak. Bill?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So bear with me as I work through these slides, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have as we come about. So the timeline that I'd like to speak to specifically is the timeline that I have been involved with since I've arrived in January. I've had the opportunity to meet with department leadership, operational leadership. Next slide, please. Thank you. But I had the opportunity to meet with the board of directors of many departments, the chiefs of every department, and executive leadership throughout. I've also had the opportunity to consult with the folks that were involved in the Mission CIT report and the individuals that assisted in collecting that information. I've had the opportunity to meet with other department heads throughout the county to get a better understanding on how the county system works. And I've also had an opportunity to reflect on and contact the fire service leaders that I have made throughout my fire service journey to get a better understanding on the challenges that we are facing as a system. Next slide, please. In doing so, we've developed a four-pronged priority list that we are going to dedicate our time and energy towards addressing. The first and foremost is recruitment and retention efforts towards our current volunteers that are currently operating in our system. The second would be staffing and personnel. The third being apparatus acquisition and replacement. And the fourth being station improvements and expansion. We'll address all four of these throughout the presentation. Next slide, please. There's several measurable results that are tangible in our system currently that have taken place over the past several months. We've created a countywide training committee. We've established a Warren County Standard Operating Guidelines Committee focused on three initial tasks. That is our communications manual, our structured fire response policy, and our organizational structure and incident command system. And the last portion of this slide is the establishment. We are due to meet, I believe it's next week, for our first recruitment and retention committee, where we have lots of motivated individuals and great ideas to discuss. Next slide, please. Continuing with the measurable results, we will be working towards establishing a safety committee. We have developed and proposed through my leadership a 20-year apparatus replacement cycle. We've increased the fiscal court and the county leadership awareness of the daily system challenges. We continue to receive feedback from the department leadership as far as projects needing to take place at their facilities and with their equipment. And then lastly, most recently, we established an apparatus replacement committee, which is tasked with the short-term and long-term planning of our fleet. Next slide, please. So moving into the recommendations. First and foremost, we need to dedicate the time, energy, personnel, and resources towards the recruitment and retention efforts of our current volunteer system. Secondly, we need to purchase heavy apparatus in accordance with national standards and the aging fleet that we currently have within Warren County. Thirdly, we need to prioritize the station repairs, which are ranging, however, they are generally viewed as significant. And then lastly, we need to work to determine a mechanism of providing supplemental staffing to the departments in order for them to continue to meet their mission. Next slide, please. So we are fortunate in Warren County where we have extremely dedicated and passionate personnel within our volunteer departments. That is something that I do not take very lightly, and I know that based on the presence here today, they do not take it lightly as well. We have an obligation to explore any methods that we can to enhance and improve their participation along with their recruitment efforts. We need to find a way to support them, and in doing so, there's a variety of factors that we're going to continue to talk through this slide, but the four main prongs are going to be our best way of supporting them throughout their mission. Next slide, please. So getting into the nuts and bolts of this presentation, the first main pillar here will be apparatus acquisition. These two vehicles we have on our left here are a 1995 pumper and a 1997 tanker. Those vehicles are both in service for calls today, and they are in need of immediate replacement. This isn't just me saying they're in need of immediate replacement. This is the Mission CIT report. This is fire service experts and national standards that are driving this decision. And in doing so, we also need to examine the acquisition of ladder trucks, tankers, and other equipment to support their mission, which will all benefit the safety of the personnel responding and the citizens that we are due to protect. Next slide. Taking into account general numbers here, you'll see that these fire trucks are increasing in cost exponentially every year. Generally speaking, most fire department structures or systems are utilizing 5 to 6% annual increase. However, post-COVID, many manufacturers have seen in excess of a 12% increase in cost annually, coupled with the lengthy time that is taking for these pieces of equipment to arrive. It would be our intention to provide a specification and have actionable items here in the short term. However, the cost is only due to go up, and as we see, those costs are probably more on the lower side. I know for a fact that you can buy a ladder truck in excess of $2 million, which is rather astounding. Next slide, please. As we work to acquire equipment, it's important to build out a system that is not bulk purchasing equipment due to the high cost, and we space that cost over a lengthy period of time. In doing so, you can establish, or we have established, a proposed 20-year replacement cycle, which will take into account national standards, life expectancy, repair costs, and replacement costs. These are just placeholders that we're not necessarily going to get into detail today. However, I do believe it's important for you to recognize that there is an in-service, frontline service time, and a reserve service time that we should be trying to adhere to, providing our responders the most capable and safe equipment to operate on. Additionally, at the bottom here, you'll see that we currently have 3 3,000-gallon tankers in Warren County, and I believe that for a variety of reasons, we need to explore the addition of several more, which will provide more timely water delivery to fight these more rural setting fires. Secondly, you'll see that there's dual-purpose aerials. We refer to them as quints, which provides a ladder truck and an engine company together. And in this setting, there is an applicable place for that in Warren County. And then lastly, based on our responses that we have, whether it be on the rural roads or in the interstates, we have a responsibility to our citizens to provide extrication-equipped vehicles to cut up cars in the event that they get trapped during a motor vehicle accident. So these are all things that we're going to be exploring as we dive into the apparatus acquisition process. Next slide, please. There are immediate needs at every department for significant station repairs. Those range in severity, they range in cost, they range in many different things. However, you can see there's structural repairs, roof repairs, significant replacements, et cetera, while also taking into account the potential growth that the county is going to see. And I think we need to do our due diligence to ensure that we are looking down the road and seeing if there's a need for possible expansion. Next slide, please. So how do we work to implement this? Kentucky regulation provides a mechanism in order to do this, and the most applicable way in order to do that in Warren County, based on our research, is establishing a 10th fire department, which would be the conduit and the mechanism of providing funding, personnel, and equipment to the current 9 existing departments, which will also allow us to apply for state and federal funding through grants. It is our intention to work on this in the short term. Next slide, please. So it's no secret that across the country, volunteer fire departments are seeing a decrease in responding personnel. That is not specific to Warren County. That is a nationwide problem that we are seeing. I saw it in Maryland, and we are continuing to see it across the country. The National Volunteer Fire Council, which is an organization that advocates for the volunteer fire departments, recognizes this challenge, and there are many different mechanisms in place to try to encourage folks, but the fact of the matter is that the numbers are not improving as of now. So in order to provide timely response with well-trained and well-equipped personnel, we are going to propose implementing a combination system here momentarily. Next slide, please. Through the utilization of mutual aid agreements and memorandums of understanding, it is our intention to place part-time personnel into various departments throughout the county, which we're going to get into more detail momentarily. Part-time personnel leverages our current strengths while also taking into account our current challenges. A phased approach, being methodical and that this is not viewed as rushed, will allow us to analyze data, will allow us to analyze all the critical factors that will provide us with a mechanism of potential change or adjustment which is likely to occur. And in conversations with the chiefs and in consultation with Mission CIT, it's been clearly identified that the most critical times for assistance of staffing is Monday through Friday during daytime response hours, when many of our volunteers are committed working or in other commitments throughout the day. Next slide, please. So this slide is rather important in my eyes because this shows, and I'll do my best to explain this in layman terms, the 56% of individuals that were rescued during residential structure fires were rescued by initial responding personnel. So what does that mean to the layperson? Seconds count. And if we do not ensure and support our current volunteer system adequately, those seconds continue to increase, which could potentially cause a dire situation. Next slide, please. The proposal for staffing or personnel in phase 1, with a projected implementation date of July 1st, 2025, is placing 24 people into various stations throughout the county. Those stations are placeholders for now. However, we believe that this, as you will see in a future slide, will provide timely response geographically throughout the county, taking into account a variety of factors. Just for a placeholder, as you can see, it's approximately $4,680 of a daily cost to provide 24 personnel at these 6 departments. Next slide, please. This next map, graciously provided by the GIS folks from Bowling Green Police Department, assisted us with showing a 5-mile radius, a 5-mile air mile radius around the proposed 6 departments. And in doing so, this map covers an overwhelming majority of the residences and businesses in Warren County. However, it does not address that we understand that there will continue to be vulnerabilities which we will address with personnel as this system continues to grow. Next slide, please. As mentioned previously, there's many factors that were taken into account to determine where these proposed 6 departments would be staffed. Geographical coverage, population density, previous call volume statistics, interstate access, response times, the variability of available apparatus, meaning we don't want to staff a particular station that only has one type of vehicle. We would like to staff a station that has many types of vehicles to increase our response capabilities. And then we also want to look at the areas that are vulnerable of how we can assist them in a more timely manner. Next slide, please. Phase 2 implementation is projected, to be implemented March 1st of 2026. Phase 2, again, will be a gradual, methodical, and systematic implementation. And the goals of Phase 2 are timely operational responses, training and equipment acquisition, and then hiring some supervisors, crew supervisors, as full-time employees versus strictly part-time employees. Next slide, please. As you can see on this slide, taking into account a staffing factor of 1.7, in order to adequately staff the leadership positions within this structure, we believe that it would be important to staff these 12 positions along with a volunteer recruiter and a program analyst / administrative specialist to allow us to ensure that we are remaining at the forefront, leaning forward as we transition through this process. As you can also see, there's a $873,600 mark in this presentation, which represents the part-time calculation outside of the leadership positions, which would be filled with full-time salaried employees. Next slide, please. This slide just represents, if you can see at the bottom there, it represents the $873,600 impact to the system that we would continue to see if those positions continue to be filled on a daily basis. So theoretically, you can see there, 16 positions will be filled with part-time personnel, while the officer position or the supervisory position would be filled with a full-time individual. Next slide, please. Phase 3 implementation projection would be January 1st, 2027. Taking into account a variety of factors, while utilizing the staffing factor of 1.7, we believe that we can adequately staff these particular stations that are proposed with the projected financial impact of $3,716,700. Next slide, please. Due to the operational demands and the flux that the fire service can see anywhere, not just in Warren County, it is proposed that we continue to have a part-time funding mechanism in place to allow for the potential for night or weekend coverage if that is needed as the system continues to grow. Utilizing the $3,716,000 from the previous page and doing calculations for 21 positions per week, assuming that they would not be needed every week, just in full disclosure, maximum amount for staffing per year would be $4,044,300. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of doing this? The benefits are wide-reaching. We can provide support immediately to the personnel behind me, along with the people that they are tasked with working with responding to emergencies. Couple that with the fact that the Insurance Services Office, also known as an ISO rating, can potentially be immediately impacted. Providing large capacity tankers, guidelines and structure, decreased response times, and the increased number of personnel responding will almost guarantee the fact that we can maintain or potentially decrease our ISO rating, which in turn means a decrease in the homeowner on their insurance. Next slide, please. So pulling up some statistics, particularly the top left quote here, I will read, bear with me. Individual homes do not get assigned ISO ratings. These ratings are assigned to communities and communities as a whole may improve their ISO rating by supporting initiatives to enhance fire department capabilities and emergency communications. So the ISO rating is not tied to a particular residence, it's tied to a response district. And if you see on the bottom right corner here, increased staffing demands, an aging apparatus fleet, which we've previously discussed, lack of specific types of apparatus, meaning 3,000-gallon tankers, ladder trucks, etc., the lack of standardized policies and procedures, and inconsistent water supply resources throughout the county will likely result in either maintaining or increasing our ISO calculation, which could impact the residential homeowner's insurance. Next slide, please. Due to the hard work of the folks behind me, along with the folks at their particular organizations, the 9 departments within Warren County currently have the listed ISO ratings. The challenge is that every 5 years the ISO rating is likely up for renewal. There's processes in place to where you can compress that timeline. However, due to the current restraints and limitations that our 9 volunteer fire departments have, it is potential that some of them may see an increase in the future. That in turn means an increase in their homeowners insurance, in the citizens' homeowners insurance. So luckily we have personnel who are proactive in doing everything that they can to keep these numbers low, but there are certain things that are out of their control that may potentially result in an increase. Next slide, please. So since my time, my first day of work here was January 6th. Since that time of arrival, I have had the opportunity to see our personnel in action, and I can honestly say that they do a tremendous job with the challenges that they are faced with on a regular basis, and I'm proud to be associated with them. A couple items of note would be we had a residential fire with a severely burned adult, which we recognized Mr. Coomer, Paramedic Coomer, at our last fiscal court meeting. There was a residential house fire where a child was thrown from a residence that resulted in an adult being burned in Richardsville's district. There was another fire in Richardsville's district, which was well advanced upon their arrival, and due to a variety of reasons, there was a decreased staffing response. Time of day likely had a factor in that. The personnel behind us responded to approximately 20, I don't have the exact number in front of me, water rescue assignments during the flooding, and they did so with expertise. There's commercial vehicle entrapment in Woodburn's district. There continue to be multiple vehicle, both passenger and commercial vehicle fires on the interstates, along with vehicle extrications that are only going to increase as our population increases. Next slide, please. So this quote is from the Bowling Green Daily News dated March 29th, 2024 by Mr. Sargent. I'm not going to read it. However, I would like to highlight one particular portion of this presentation, or excuse me, this quote. And it says, Warren County is predicted to add 74,743 residents from 2020 to 2050. These are known figures, albeit likely adjustable, that we are facing unprecedented growth in Warren County. Next slide, please. Throughout the Mission CIT survey, they conducted community feedback as part of their study. If you see in the top right corner, it says Warren County is growing and the fire protection hasn't changed in decades. The governing body owes it to its citizens to provide a better fire protection. That's from an anonymous citizen. I don't have their information. However, it can be referenced on page 159 of the report. Interestingly enough, at the bottom, you will see that based on the PVA's information, in the county alone, excluding the city, the fire departments are tasked with protecting approximately $5.5 billion worth of property. That is astounding and only going to increase. And lastly, and most importantly on this slide, the 3 factors that the citizens said were the top 3 priorities for them as far as fire service delivery is fast response times, well-trained firefighters, and the appropriate number of firefighters responding. Next slide, please. The critical factors: decreased volunteer participation nationwide, which we've already discussed. We know that Warren County is exploding with growth. We know that there's going to be both residential and commercial growth. And lastly, there are likely significant transportation changes in our future as far as Warren County is concerned. Next slide. In conclusion, the time to act is now. We owe it to the personnel that are behind me. We owe it to their constituents and your constituents to provide a well-funded, well-organized, and properly staffed fire department system. We're at a critical juncture, taking into account the conversations I've had with department leadership, reviewing the Mission CIT report, and also my personal analysis of things. We need to make some significant changes immediately. This concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions that you may have. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Bill, for that. And we'll probably have a few questions momentarily. That's fine. You have some guests with us today as well.
Yes, sir.
That want to address the court. Is that
Yes, sir.
right? Chief Lee from Richardsville is here with us today.
Most should know me, but if you don't, I'm Chief Brian Lee, Richardsville Fire Department. I've been a member of the fire department since 1993. I've been the fire chief since 2008. First of all, I want to thank the judge and the court for what you've done so far, taking steps to change the direction of the Warren County Fire Service, first with the Mission CIT, and also with the hiring of the new fire coordinator. When I became chief in 2008, we were responding to 450 calls annually. In 2024, we responded to 1,248 calls. We know what we're experiencing in Warren County, as Bill has referenced earlier, with the lack of the number of people volunteering, isn't just only a Warren County problem, but a national problem. However, I think we do have a fiscal court that's ready to assist us with what is needed to provide the citizens of Warren County the level of fire service they deserve. Just to give you an example, Richardsville Fire Department has utilized departmental monies since 2014 to have one part-time firefighter, EMT, to respond to daytime calls 5 days a week. That being said, some days he is the only one available in our district during the daytime hours, and to others obviously leave work if they're able to assist. This surely is a strong argument on the need for daytime staffing to offset our shortages. I believe all 9 volunteer departments realize we can't maintain providing the best service possible without assistance with staffing and a strategic plan for apparatus replacement, as well as finding ways to retain the volunteer members we have currently and hope to entice new volunteers in the future. We can all surely agree changing the course of Warren County's fire service will come with a price tag. However, I believe the priority of any government is to provide public safety that is not only law enforcement but also fire protection. I also have concern unless we change course with staffing to offset current shortages and have an apparatus replacement plan in place with the funding to support that all 9 departments could realistically be looking at future ISO increases versus decreases. And as Bill referenced earlier, we are at a critical crossroad in Warren County's fire service. I do want to thank you for what you've done so far. But obviously that's just the beginning. I want to thank you in advance of supporting the ordinance you have in front of you that will provide the funding mechanism to change the fire service in Warren County forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Duckett with GOT.
Good morning. For those of you that don't know me, I am the fire chief of GOT Volunteer Fire Department. Joined the fire service as a junior firefighter in 1997 and have currently been in the role as fire chief since 2013. I'd like to speak a little bit on the apparatus and staffing at GOT. NFPA 1901 recommends that fire apparatus such as engines, ladders, and tankers be placed in reserve status and out of frontline service after 20 years. NFPA 1901 also recommends that after 25 years of service, the apparatus be retired and placed out of service. I can't speak for other departments in Warren County, but at GOT we have the following trucks that have reached this status. A 1994 tanker that is over 30 years old, who we recently just spent $20,000 on last year's budget to keep that truck in service. Recently, in the last few weeks, the truck has also developed a split in the tank that we're looking at recommendations on how to get this welded up and put back in service. We have a 99 model engine that's over 26 years old now, and 2 2006 model tanker and engines that are reaching that 20-year status. These trucks are needed to respond to structure fires in multiple fire districts in Warren County. These trucks also help with our ISO rating of a Class 9. With the aging of our fleet at GOT comes with higher maintenance costs each year to keep these pieces of apparatus in frontline status. Currently, we have been working with vendors on replacement of engines in Warren County, are looking at 24 to 36 months before Warren County would see a new engine to be delivered here. The cost of new apparatus have more than doubled in price, and this makes it virtually impossible for small departments like GOT to be able to purchase a new piece of apparatus under the current funding model. Currently, in the daytime hours, we have a core group of 1 to 3 firefighters that may be around when fire runs are toned out. Sadly, if some of us are unable to leave our jobs to respond to these calls, we are left calling for other departments to help respond to these emergency calls during the daytime hours. Daytime staffing in Warren County would be a major help in the assistance to these emergency calls. I'd also like to thank all you court members for all the progression that you have made in the last 12 months to help assist us. And I would ask that you vote yes for the ordinance that you have before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Pretty of Smiths Grove.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Chief Kenneth Pretty, Smiths Grove Fire Department. Joined the fire department December of 1971. Been fire chief continuously since June of 1983. So I've seen a lot of changes in Warren County. I've seen a lot of people that says they want to change the fire service in Warren County. I think we have the opportunity today to take that first step and make Warren County and the citizens of Warren County better fire protected. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Chief Skipper from Woodburn.
Thank you. I'm Bob Skipper, Chief of the Woodburn Fire Department. I started in the fire service in 1988. I've been privileged to be chief at Woodburn for the last 20 years. So, like Chief Pretty, I've seen a lot of changes, and I've seen a lot of needs that have developed in the fire service in Warren County. The growth of the county is well documented. The projected growth is well documented. But we can't address the challenges of the future unless we address the challenges that we're currently facing. Most of us are operating out of stations that are 2 to 3 times past their life expectancy when they were built. We've managed to keep them up and running, barely. We take care of some of the minor things, but we are facing much bigger issues like Bill outlined with HVA systems that are going down, roofs that need repair, flooding issues when we have heavy rains. These are things that we need to document and that the county needs to help us address. A lot of these stations were built for trucks 30, 40, 50 years ago. Those trucks were much smaller than what we have now. The growth that we are experiencing has also given us the challenge of population shifts. We see a lot of what was farmland is now single-family and multifamily residential. These shifts, in my district alone, shows a need for additional stations because what was once farmland is now heavily populated, and we need to get responding apparatus closer to where those population centers are now located. These are all issues that are difficult for departments to take on in the current due structure. We just don't bring in enough money to handle these big ticket items as well as keeping the departments up and running with fuel and equipment costs. The ordinance that you are about to consider will generate additional funding that can address these challenges and bring fire service forward to meet the needs and the expectations of our citizen and our community for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We also have today, Frank from Mission CIT is with us just to give a quick update. Of course, this is the company that we hired during the RFP to take a deep dive into our fire protection services. And again, so we're happy to have Frank with us today, and I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Judge and Fiscal Court members. Appreciate the opportunity to make comments. At Mission CIT, we are always excited and happy when organizations make the intentional and consistent efforts to improve their services and their service delivery, and certainly Warren County is making those efforts again. It's a long-term process. It'll be a long-term process from this point forward, but the intentional work is continuing every day under the leadership of the judge, the fiscal court, and now Mr. Rector. I think that the future is extremely promising for the fire services. Once you can have plans in place and actionable steps, as well as the funding mechanism, it certainly makes things easier to implement and make those improvements long-term. So we're always excited to see jurisdictions take what work we do as the initial step and continue to move that forward through their intentional efforts.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We also appreciate your involvement. You've been very kind to be able to answer questions since we've had this report done. So we appreciate the hard work of Mission CIT, and we have always appreciated that partnership. So thanks so much, Frank.
Thank you.
Judge, I apologize. I failed to get Chief Bailey written on your list. He also had a presentation for the court.
I'm sorry, Chief. No, come on up here. It's fine.
That was my mistake.
I saw him back there. Okay.
Hey, I'm Kevin Bailey, Fire Chief at Plano. Been on the department since 2000. This is my 11th year as Fire Chief. I'd like to talk about some of the overall system challenges that all of the Warren County Fire Departments face. I can speak for Plano, and I'm certain that most of the other 8 chiefs would agree with me that we are performing at times almost a miracle to keep everything afloat and in compliance. We are pulled in so many directions with regulatory issues, compliance issues, budgeting, and other administrative tasks that at times it feels overwhelming. A couple of examples. 2025 is going to be the year in which ISO comes back to visit the Warren County departments to perform their 5-year survey. The amount of time and preparation that goes into the ISO survey is tremendous for us. We are required to pull many records that range everywhere from training records for the last 5 years since they've been here, structure fire reports. We have to inventory all the apparatus to ensure that they're ISO compliant. They give us a list of equipment that each ladder truck has to have, that each engine has to have, and we have to ensure to get full points that those trucks have that equipment in it. Not only are the fire departments involved, but the other agencies such as Warren County Water, Fire Dispatch, they also get surveyed for their part of the fire system, and their scores also affect our ratings to ensure that we meet their standards for the dispatching and the water system. We're also required by the Kentucky Fire Commission to stay compliant with their regulations. Each firefighter from the date that they join the fire service is required to be compliant, or to be certified within 2 years. This consists of 115 hours of training in various topics. Due to the makeup of our current system right now, it is almost impossible for the new recruits to get all of their training within Warren County within those 2 years. They're having to travel to other departments in this region to get the necessary classes that are required for their certification. Some of them are traveling to Hopkinsville, Tompkinsville, Glasgow. I've got 2 guys tonight going to Hopkinsville for a wildland class because they can't find one local around here that meets their schedule. In most cases, this is at the expense of the firefighters. They're driving their personal vehicles, they're paying for their own fuel. We have formed a training committee recently, and one of our goals with this committee is to bring training closer to home by doing some type of an academy for the new recruits. This will help to ensure that the firefighters don't have to travel long distances to training, while at the same time ensuring that they all receive consistent, high-quality training. Once they are certified, they're required to obtain 20 hours of training each year to maintain their certification. This is in addition to any medical training they're needed that they're required to get if they're an EMR or an EMT. If they're on the technical rescue team, the technical rescue team also has their own training requirements. There are also other requirements that we have to abide by in order to get the full amount of state aid dollars that the Fire Commission gives us every year. I would also like to briefly address our current daytime staffing. On a typical day, Monday through Friday at Plano, I normally have between 2 to 4 personnel that are available for daytime coverage. In many cases, this isn't sufficient. The staffing plan that was proposed today will not only help Plano, but it will also help the other county departments to ensure that we have guaranteed daytime coverage. In closing, I'm in full support of the plan presented today by Mr. Rector and would like to ask the fiscal court to approve this ordinance to support not only the fire departments, but also the citizens of Warren County. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. As you can see, before we go much further, our Warren County Fire Departments, our volunteer system was, I believe, was started in 1972. So you win the prize there, Chief Pretty, for being here since day one. But imagine, if you will, in the private sector, running a $4 or $5 million corporation with volunteers, and how long that would last. And we've worn out our welcome. We have used these men and women to protect this county on a volunteer basis. And so there's been many discussions in the last 3 years of how to address this, but as it should be no shock to anyone that a term that I use an awful lot is service before self. And service before self is unfortunately becoming less and less common. We have the men and women here that have just shown up today, as Chief Bailey just mentioned, 4 and 5 nights a week going for training, let alone answering the call. And I think some of the things we should understand is we just hear about a fire being put out, but we don't hear is 4 stations being knocked out and 5 total people being available to show up. 5 between 4 stations. And for each of us, when you get home tonight and you enjoy your meal and your family time, you know good and well you're not getting called out to go to work. But yet there's no guarantee for these gentlemen and women that are here today. It doesn't work that way. There's no time off, there's no days off, there's no week's vacation. There is, but they're just praying someone else is going to be there. And so we're very well aware of the stress that is on this. And we also feel like the citizens of Warren County deserve to have more people helping these fine men and women. Any questions or comments from the court?
Judge,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Eric, you want to go first? 5 before 6.
So, gentlemen, we have before us today an ordinance for consideration. Judge Gorman, I want to thank you for your leadership. Magistrates, thank you for your patience and support as you've entrusted me the last 1.5 years to work with the volunteer fire departments, the chiefs in this room, and Mr. Rector, to get to the point where we are today. This is an opportunity for us to fundamentally change the support system to these volunteer fire departments. We heard Mr. Rector's presentation. Thank you, chiefs, for sharing. I know that we are all keenly aware of the Mission CIT study. We've been following its recommendations the entire time. We tasked Mission CIT with to show us, to explain to us a funding mechanism that would implement this plan. And the funding method that they identified that fits our need is a license fee on insurance companies. Now, this is something that 47 counties in Kentucky already have. In fact, all of the incorporated cities inside of Warren County have it in place. The city of Bowling Green has had it in place for 44 years. I would like to take a moment and re-emphasize one of the last slides in your presentation, Mr. Rector. The time to act is now. The citizens, visitors, and businesses of Warren County, they rely on a well-equipped, well-organized, well-funded, and properly staffed fire department. So I encourage each of us to approve this ordinance. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, and thank you, Eric, for your involvement. while all members have been involved, I know you've spent an inordinate amount of time with them, and I appreciate you and also Squire Cummings and Deputy Judge Downing, along with several fire chiefs on that committee to select our fire coordinator. But thank you for that effort that you've done, Eric. Ron?
If I may add a couple things.
Sure.
First of all, thank you all for the presentation, and I think this is an historic day for Warren County. We have the best volunteer fire departments in the country. I really believe that, and they've been the backbone of our community for years. But it's now time for us to help them. And it's not just a responsibility that we need to take and make this ordinance go today. It's a necessary step for us to reach the goals that we all have for our community, is this growth that's coming. You know, I said in our retreat, it's not a matter if they're coming, it's a matter that they are coming, and we have to do everything possible to get ourselves ready to handle the 70-some thousand extra people that are coming to Warren County. We owe it to existing people who live here, and we owe it to the ones who are coming to come here. And the mandate that we have from this court is to make sure our citizens are safe and well protected. I will take a moment to address something that was kind of briefly mentioned in your statement, in your presentation. I think it's important to understand how this is going to affect the people of Warren County. And it's about the ISO ratings. Right now, before we started this back in 1972, ISO ratings were 10 for all stations in Warren County. They've worked hard and diligently, and most stations now are at a 5, which is tremendous for you all to get to that point of having those ratings. And that rating is exactly related to what your cost of your insurance premium is. Bowling Green City is a 1. And I compared with some friends of mine who live in the city recently, saying about house value, so forth, and versus my home where I live, and a city residence's premium was almost half of what mine was for the same coverage. And it's because of that ISO rating difference. This ordinance and this funding mechanism will work wonders toward getting our ISO ratings down low enough that this small increase in your insurance premium will be offset by the savings you're going to have on your insurance premiums going down as this gets rolled out. So I think it's not only it's a vital first step, and I thank the volunteer chiefs and all the fire department people for the work they've done so far, and they're not going to get off the hook. They're still going to need them tremendously in this transition, because this is not going to go to an all-paid staff. We're going to still need these volunteers that vitally serve the community with no thank yous. They just do it because they love their county and they love where they live. So again, I'll echo what Squire Aldrich said, is that this is a first step that we need to do, and I want to thank you all, but also the citizens understand, yeah, nobody likes to have any kind of increase on your insurance premium. However, ultimately you may go down if this thing is implemented properly. So that's my comments, and thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Squire. Any additional comments?
Judge, I'd like to echo everything that Ron and Eric has said. I'm the oldest magistrate, 11 years is how long I've been on this, and I've always been amazed at what the volunteer fire departments have done, and I respect them immensely, and I will support this because they need it, and we all need it. You know, I'm in the county, so my rates will go like everybody else's. So I would like to make a motion, if it's not too early.
Well, it's a little early, but I'll read it first, but that's okay. I appreciate that. I do thank everyone for their comments. There's 2 readings, obviously, for any ordinance, so this is the first reading. So item 7, approve first reading ordinance 2503, imposing a license fee on insurance companies engaged in the business of insurance within Warren County. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Squire McWhirter.
Second.
Second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? If not, please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Item Item 8 is approved second reading of ordinance 2502, rezoning property located 2965 Plano Road from agriculture to single-family residential containing approximately 29.92 acres and presently owned by Firm Lineage LLC. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions?
Just clarification, this might go to Amy. Question is, we were told that there's potentially going to be opposition, and obviously nobody showed, so this,
I haven't heard from anyone.
okay,
That the people that were originally going to appeal decided not to.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence. Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 9 is approved determination amount of $3,044.10 to Wright Implement for repair of a John Deere tractor for the road department. This is a single source vendor.
So moved.
Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
We never get a round of applause for fixing tractors and things. That's what Item 10. Item 10 is approved determination amount of $35,500 to Scott and Murphy, Inc. for repair of a Trammell Creek Bridge on Mount Lebanon Road. 3 quotes were obtained. This was the lowest and best. Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 11 is approve the treasurer's report for January 2025. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Williams. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 12 is approved determination amount of $3,800 to Boyd Cat for purchase of a snow pusher attachment for the track loader at Buchanan Park. This is under state price contract. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 13 is approved determination amount of $11,800 to Boyd Cat for purchase of 2 grapple rake attachments for track loaders for the Parks Department. This is a state price contract. Motion by Squire Lasley, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 14 is approved determination amount of $7,500 to Fox Excavation and Contracting for installation of a 200-foot sidewalk between the Basil Griffin Park pickleball courts and the Aviation Heritage Park lot. 3 quotes were solicited and 2 were returned. This is the lowest and best. A motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 15 is approved determination, the amount of $11,500 to A&B Contracting for pouring a concrete pad at Ephraim White Park Maintenance Building. 3 quotes were obtained. This was the lowest and best bid. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Williams. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 16 is approved change order number 1 for Beach Bend Park Road Improvement Project in the amount of $13,000 even to Scotty's Contracting in Stone for the undercut and refill of unsuitable materials. This is on pay application number 3. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire McWhorter. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 17 is approved determination amount of $5,400 to Hobby Dye and Reed for the purchase of 2 snow plows and 2 salt spreaders for Parks Department, and that's at the state price contract. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 18 is approve United States Bureau of Prisons inspection reports from January 2025. There were no concerns or deficiencies in either of these reports. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Williams. Thank you, Jailer Harmon. Great job as usual. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 19 is approved determination, the amount of $14,137.54 to Sigma Organics for the purchase of field conditioner for the Parks Department. This is a single source vendor. Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 20 is approve order 2506, appointing Doug Gorman to the Barren River Area Development District Executive Council. We have to have this on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to abstain?
I would like to abstain, yes, I would, please. All right, we have a motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Williams. As long as there's no credit check, we should be good. Any other questions? Please call the
It
roll.
won't do you any good to abstain.
I know, that's right.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 21 is approve order 2507, appointing Greg Farrell and Julie Denton Price to the Warren County Ethics Commission. We'll say Greg Farrell, it's a two-year term. Julie Denton's a 1 year. She's replacing one of the previous members. Scott Backert is on that as well, has been on that board. Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes,
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 22 is approve the interfund transfers for Warren County. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Lasley. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 23 is approve the budget transfers for Warren County. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 24 is approved determination, the amount of $3,250 to Brantley Appraisal Company for the appraisal of property located at 2325 Airway Court. This is under professional services contract. Motion by Squire Lasley, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 25 is approved determination, the amount of $3,700 to Vine and Branch for the repair of a divider curtain at the Buchanan Park Tennis Facility. This is a single source vendor. Motion by Squire McWhorter, second by Squire Aldridge. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Item 26, approved emergency determination, the amount of $10,824 to Stuart Ritchie Service Group for repairs to a collapsed drain line in the kitchen at the jail. Motion by Squire Aldridge, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
And item 27 is approve order 2508, approving procurement of professional services for the corridor identification and development program application, and step 1, planning work, and further approving the execution of a contract for services among and between HDR Engineering, Inc., the City of Bowling Green, and Warren County Fiscal Court. Motion by Squire Williams, second by Squire Lawrence. Thank you for coming, Bobby Raybold. This is about our next steps in trying to secure passenger rail for Warren County, so we appreciate that. Any questions for Bobby or any questions on that? Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
All right, will Treasurer please report the claims?
General Fund, $229,307. Road Fund, $155,927. Jail Fund, $285,153. Stormwater Fund, $6,218. E911 Fund, $17,426. And Clerk Dock Storage Fund, $2,798. Be happy to answer any questions.
Motion we pay our bills.
Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire McWhirter. Discussion or questions, please call roll.
Esquire McWhorter.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Aldridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lasley.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Williams.
Yes.
All right, I think the sheriff had another appointment, had to go to. Looking there, anyone else? Hello, Lynette. How are you doing? Thank you, good to see you. All right, Jailer Harmon.
Just want to offer a quick word to the staff that worked on the Bureau of Prisons inspection. These are not only inmates that are inside the building that go out to work every day that we have to monitor, but also those that are spread out all over Kentucky that we monitor on home incarceration. There's a lot of red tape to that process. They come in and inspect twice a year, and it's a lot of work on our part, going and doing home visits and going to their work and doing all the required things in order to have that revenue. So just want to give them a huge shout out.
Yep, thank you, Jailer. And a great job. Please pass that on to, yes, sorry about that.
Hey, sir, I got one out by the sheriff had to cut out. I got a few things.
Please come on forward. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sure. Get my notes out. So the sheriff had to go to Frankfurt. He's got a proclamation on the Senate floor for recognizing the atrocities in Srebrenica and the strength and resilience of Warren County's Bosnian community. He spent some time there in his military service, and we're proud to say we now have 7 Bosnian employees here at the sheriff's office. A couple other things. This weekend, the Hadley Joe Foundation's got a 5K at Cheney's. It's Saturday morning at 9. There'll be about 150 runners at this time. And our chief deputy, want to congratulate him on the birth of his first grandchild. And also on the fire departments, we do appreciate the Alvaton Fire Department and their assistance at Great House Road on Tuesday. We had the barricaded subject, so on top of the fire service, they provide the medical training, and they also assisted us with accident reconstruction, where we had the pedestrian hit on Scottsville Road this past weekend. So we just want to appreciate them for that.
Yeah, Captain Kitchens, thank you so much for that. That's awesome. What a great point. It's so easy for us, I'm not going to get off on it, but it's so easy for us to think the only thing our fire department personnel do is put water on fires. And the true story is it's so many more things. A rough situation, someone barricaded in a house, who here would think, well, the first thing we'll do, we call law enforcement, obviously, but let's go ahead and call the fire department as well. And these are the things I think we don't understand, not only all of the stress they have, but they do that as well. So thank you for that, and a great partnership they have with all of our departments. Mr. Comer?
Judge, I'd just like to introduce our spring intern, Ethan Lloyd. Ethan's learning how to do a bunch of schedules right now for baseball, softball, and we're glad to have him on the team this spring.
Great. Thanks, Ethan. Appreciate you being here today. Mr. Moore, all good? I know Nikki had a meeting she had to go to. Sure we're fine, a contracts licensing board. Ronnie Pearson, I saw him earlier, but, oh, there he is. Hello, Mr. Pearson.
Thank you, Judge.
All good in your world?
Presently.
Okay, well, let's keep it that way. All right, Tommy? Thanks for the hard work up in D.C. and for the work they're doing with the drug task force, Tommy. Some great awards recently, and just keep up the hard work for sure. Ben, all good in your world?
Yes, sir.
Please respond back to that information I gave you. I'd appreciate that. No, I'm kidding, kidding. Mr. Markram, all good. Bill, thank you for your service. I'm not having you come up here. You have spoken way too long today. I'm kidding. A great presentation, and honored to work with you, so thank you for that. Treasurer Burrell,
Thank you, Judge.
anything happen in your world
It's all good.
personally?
Personally, good.
You had a birthday.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. No one was more happy than I was that I didn't see all kinds of craziness on social media about your birthday, so that's good, Brad. You're growing up. I'm so proud of you. Ms. Chandler.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Cummings?
Thank you, Judge.
Recovered. Here's our HIPAA violation. Crystal had the flu for about a week, and I'm serious about this, was extremely sick. And we all noticed she wasn't here because she does such a great job. Thank you for being here. And Brian, thank you for sitting next to her for the whole meeting. Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and put some days off for next week,
That's
just ahead
right.
of time.
No. Deputy Judge Downing?
I just want to say thanks to our Public Works, Parks, and James, your facility guys. I got 2 phone calls last week with the flooding and the snow from people that was their sole purpose to call me on my cell phone just to say thanks for the work that your all's teams have done to keep it safe around here and out on the general roads. So thank you guys so much for that. And then to all our volunteers who are here today, thanks for all you all do.
Awesome. Thank you all for that support. And to echo that, you know, here it is nice. We're finally getting some spring. It's 65 degrees and the sun shining. 1 week ago, typical of Kentucky, we had 6 inches of snow and then it melted. Then we had the rain and we've had all kinds of issues going on. So just like everything else, everyone on Team Warren County just pitches in and does things. I'm so extremely proud of our Parks Department. We were absolutely throttled at all of our parks with the weather. Our Road Department worked tirelessly. Our Sheriff's Department, of course, unbelievable number of wrecks of people that just had to go out and get that dozen eggs at 10:30 at night and things, but it doesn't matter. They don't get a choice to say whether they should go or not. They go 24/7. Our fire departments that had to go out and all of that, and every person involved with Warren County as well. I had an unbelievable number of people reaching out saying we're so thankful for the safety that we do. And as well, earlier today you heard about one of the most important things for what I think government is for is that personal protection, and one of the things that we're doing. Appreciate all the support. Thank you all for that presentation as well, the people that worked on that. Thank you for our fire chiefs. Chief Pretty, I always say it, man. What was I doing in 1971? Let's see.
I was born.
Amy was born, that's right, many people, but to all of our fire chiefs that are here and all of our department members, thank you for your continued service. And again, remembering service before self, thank you all for that. Squire Aldridge.
May I also remind everybody that there is a pancake breakfast that we can support our volunteer fire departments. Barron River has theirs Saturday the 8th from 7 to 11 a.m. That'll be at Station 2. They're at 121 Jenkins Road. Again, that's their benefit pancake breakfast, so I encourage everybody to come out, enjoy some pancakes, and give you an opportunity to, in person, thank our wonderful volunteer fire department.
Great. Squire McWhirter?
It's all good. Let me say something about our facility down at Mike Buchanan Park. We were there last weekend for a volleyball tournament, thousands of people there, and I didn't hear one person say anything bad about that facility. I talked to some people from Lexington, and they said, we don't have anything like this. So we're proud of what we got, Chris.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for the hard work. Squire Cummings?
As usual, I'm gonna be a little longer than the rest of my squires. First of all, happy birthday to Brett Hightower, whose birthday was 2 days ago.
Oh, yes.
So it was a big birthday. Not to be outdone by Squire Aldrich, my Woodburn Fire Department having their pancake breakfast Saturday, the 1st, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning to about 11 o'clock. Is that right, Bob? And I will say, they have the best pancakes in Warren County that day.
No, that day.
Okay, that day, I said for that day, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I do want to say congrats to the sheriff and all departments who are involved with that standoff that happened out in Great House Road. Tremendous success that nobody was hurt and it ended the way it ended. And I want to thank each and every person who was involved in that situation to bring it to a nice resolution. I'm going to say a little congrats in advance for Miss Crystal for her husband's basketball team, who now won the regional championship and heading back to facing a state championship for hopefully a back-to-back state championship opportunity. But they won their games and now will be advancing and representing Bowling Green and Warren County in that state championship level. So congratulations to Sean and the team. And last but not least, we're not going to meet again until daylight savings time changes. And it's a week from, it's not this Saturday night, but the next Saturday night. So we get to spring forward and lose an hour of sleep, but gain an extra hour of daylight at night in the evening time. So people remind them that our time change is not this Saturday night, but the following Saturday night for a time change for daylight savings time. Thank you.
So is our next meeting at 8 or 9? That gets me confused. I will just say, on a personal note, I love to travel with my beautiful wife, Michelle, who, when we travel, says, now, is that 8 o'clock our time or here? I'm like, honey, wherever we are is the time. We're not trying to do the math to see where we are back home. But okay. Squire Williams.
Thank you, Judge. I'd just like to remind everybody that it is high school basketball tournament time for the ladies and the gentlemen, and all of our local schools are participating, and we just wish them well.
Yes, absolutely. It's great. I love basketball season. It's good. Squire Lawrence.
Yeah, Judge, I'd just like to thank Ronnie and all the emergency personnel have done a great job through the floods we had, and the road department done a great job through all the snows we had. I'd also like to encourage everybody to come out to support AMVET's Post 130's Chili Cook-Off on March the 8th. They can eat some pancakes in the morning, some chili at lunchtime. It's happening over at the American Legion building on Dishman Lane.
Awesome. It's great organizations. Squire Lasley.
I would just like to once again thank Mr. Rector for his leadership on the putting the presentation together. You know, that's a culmination of a lot of work. Appreciate the work that Esquire Aldrich and Cummins put in on the committee. I think their leadership has been incredibly valuable in the firefight. You know, the chiefs and the volunteer firefighters. I think this is really a big step forward. So, thanks, Judge.
Thank you. All right. We appreciate everyone's attendance today. Our next meeting is Thursday, March 13th at 9 a.m. right here at court. We have a motion by Squire Lawrence to adjourn, and this meeting is adjourned.